Hey everyone, welcome to our small Hey everyone, welcome to our small footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. Today is my chat video that is supposed to be a Sunday, except that it's Monday, because that's what happens around here. It is Monday, as I said. Darryl is in Toowoomba today. The girls have optometrist appointments and he needed to do a Bunnings run, so he's in Toowoomba today. It has rained, which was unexpected, so today has got get away from me as well. So it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But anyway, I said I'd do a chat video, and so I will. I think you can hear I don't know if you can see them. I might see them. Let's see if we can get it focused over there. The guinea fowl are chatting to me while I'm standing here, because if it's not roosters, it's got to be something, doesn't it? So, update. Now, I haven't done one of these for a couple of weeks, so we've got a few things to update. It is the end of August. True spring this year is the 23rd of September. So the aim is to get anything that really can't handle frosts planted out sort of around about that time, but we're trying to get things sorted to be able to do other stuff beforehand. So we've been working on the garden beds. We've only got 2 put in here so far at the moment. We've been waylaid by a lot of different things, but let me turn you around and show you what we've done with these 2 so far. Alright, so we've got the first 2 in. So that was the first one that we did ages ago, and it needs topping up a little bit more because I ran out of time at the time of this one. This bed here will be pulled up to go for these beds to go here as well. So I will dig some of this soil up from this bed here to put into this one to top it up a little bit more, because what we want is more like this. So this is the one that we did yesterday, and the reason it's a bit more full is because the garden beds go all the way to the end here. So we use some of the dirt from here and some of the wood chips from the paths. That the paths are now less important because we're now doing the raised beds instead of the in-ground beds. So the wood chip paths have become a little bit of a moot point. But anyway, and then we put a bale of sugarcane over the top as well. So that way we've got this nice starting point with some soil, some bark, some wood, sand, and the sugarcane. And then from this point forward, we're going to build it up. So I have a delivery of mushroom compost coming tomorrow, and then we will start filling the top layers. So these 2 beds are almost to the point of being plantable, almost. We also, while I was out here doing this, I also noticed that my asparagus has started sprouting again. So I cut back all the dead ferns from last year and discovered that it was sprouting. There was a few pieces, I'll put a quick photo on here. There was a few pieces that we ate for dinner last night, and there's a few more that are coming up that will be harvestable. This one's a nice thick one here. But obviously I missed the first lot that came up and have ferned out, which is fine. It just means that they will put goodness back into the crowns. So we topped this bed up with some manure and stuff, some aged stuff, as well as topped it all up with sugarcane mulch so that it will be nice and protected for this year. There's actually 2, so there's 6 crowns in this bed and only 4 have come up. Right at the very end there was a purple crown, and there was a purple crown just here. And it was very dry and hasn't done anything. So we've mulched it up, we've amended it, and hopefully that one will come back for us as well. This bed is right next to that big gum tree that excuse the rubbish there, that's the last thing that the branch fell on. The big gum tree that's just there. So this bed has done okay considering it, but asparagus is pretty tolerant of poor soil and other things as well. Just may not get as much of a harvest out of it. We do have some more crowns that I bought last year that I never ended up planting out, and maybe I will plant those 6 crowns into one of these raised beds once we get them going and have that as a comparison running. So this year is going to be about comparing and contrasting the different styles. So on this side here where the trellising is, that's where we're going to put some of the IBCs that are turned into wicking beds. So we managed to get some cheap IBCs locally. I've got 3 so far. There's 2 more to pick up. They're ones that had the non-toxic glue that when you cut them open, the glue will dry and you can just peel it off the inside of them. So that's the plan for those. And they will be cut in half and used as wicking beds. So Darryl, while he's in Toowoomba today, is going to grab some of the ag pipe so that we can run a trial. And I'm going to put some of the the wicking beds next to these trellises, but I'm going to plant some of the things in those wicking beds as well as into the raised beds. So there's 10 of these raised beds, 12 all up I think, but 8 or 10 for this space here, and then the others are for something else, I can't remember. Anyway, there is a bunch of those, and then there is the IBCs are going to be here. So for the moment we'll have 10 half IBCs to use, so 10 beds there. We may not get them all filled. It may just cost too much to get them all filled this year, but we have the option to have 10. I also have these old beds here running down here that all badly need a top up and stuff. The very end one is full of Jerusalem artichokes though, so when I harvested my Jerusalem artichokes I left a bunch in there, so I will top that up and that bed will probably regrow more Jerusalem artichokes. But the other 3 have had silver beet and lettuce and things like that in them, so they can be replanted. If any of those sprouts come up, then that's fine. So we will top these up and amend these, and we will use these beds as well. And then the rest of the garden will probably sit pretty empty this year, so we will get as many beds as we can put together and filled, which is whatever we can within budget and materials and scope. But we have I think we have 12 of the big 3.2 metre beds, and we have 10 half IBCs, but we will see what we can afford to fill, and we want to do it right because you don't want to be digging these beds out. So the whole point is to do it right the first time so that you don't have to do that. So that's how it's going so far. It'll be really nice once we get more of these beds done and we get them filled, but it's just still working on it. We were supposed to have it all done by now. That was the point of buying them early on and getting started, but life hasn't agreed. So anyway, the hothouse. So we were going to talk about the hothouse. So a couple of years ago, I'll put some photos in. A couple of years ago, we built this hothouse, right? And we were really proud of ourselves, really impressed with our skills. But it didn't ever work very well as a hothouse. I think part of it was because it was too tall and it just wasn't insulated enough. So even though the biggest problem too is that we get really hot during the day and still really cold at night, so it makes it really hard to use hot. You need to be able to open it during the day, but it needs to be sealed up tight during evening. And anyway, so let me turn you around and I'll show you this. So we built this hothouse originally. So we used this plastic polycarbonate roofing. We repurposed old door. Get this open, and we built it all with cypress and this big space. Now these metal panels weren't here originally, they're there now because we pulled the plastic down. We didn't want the dogs jumping in. So what we've changed our minds and decided to do is turn the back half into the hothouse with double layers. So instead of having just an external layer of the polycarbonate roof sheeting, we're going to have an external layer and an internal layer, and that will give us that air pocket between the two of them, which will hopefully help. We're also going to do an internal ceiling. So at the moment it's only got a roof. We're going to put an internal ceiling of those plastic sheets as well, so there will be a double layer of sheets all the way around. We are going to need to put a window of some sort in there, and then there's going to be framework at the front here that will have a door, and then that way there'll be flow through air from the door through to that window for in summer. And we will probably get that shade cloth off cleaned and put a fresh layer of shade cloth over it as well, because in summer we really struggle. Now when we were trying to get this to work last time, we used some water barrels as well to hold to help with holding heat. It's like a ambient heaters type thing, but what we thought we might do this time is, so we put shelving in so that I could have all my seedling trays along these shelves. So as I fill the seedling trays, they're going to be up here. It's a good height for getting sunlight to them and all that sort of thing. And we purposely did them nice and tall so that they're above the metal that runs along the bottom, that keeps like on this side, that sides onto our yard, so it keeps the dogs from doing any damage. So we put this shelving up like this, and we did it against the framework so that we could get it level, because we laid these pavers ourselves and they're not particularly level, which I don't care, but it means that we didn't want to have to put something on legs and then have to try and level it. So these pavers should stop mice from being able to dig into the hothouse as well, because that was a problem that we had last time. So we're going to seal up along the bottom, and there's going to be a layer of plastic on the outside which will stop anything being able to get in. We put this metal along these edges to help with that as well, because the plastic didn't quite meet at the bottom. And then the thought was that we could potentially put some kratky beds or something in underneath these shelving, and then we could have winter lettuce and all that sort of thing in here. So we have a new seed starting shelf. I'll put a little clip in here of this new seed starting shelf that we did. It is done by plans from Hucho's channel. So it's done all from stuff from Bunnings, and I put it together. We need to contact these shelves, but other than that, it's working perfectly. I think I might need to move the shelves a little bit. They might be a little bit too far away from the seeds, but the pars seem to be correct, so I don't know. But anyway, we have those lights that we're only going to need while seed starting, and we could potentially hang them from these shelves to something underneath if we wanted to do some all year round growing in the hothouse. So that was the thought as well. Otherwise this will be storage, which is fine. So we put the pavers to the point here where this frame work is, where this sheeting ends, and that's where the new frame's going to be with a door into this section that is been a mess, and the roosters keep coming in here and sleeping in here too. So there's chicken poop on my benches. Not impressed. Anyway, so the plan is that this front half, we're going to just put shade cloth all the way around these walls, and then that way it's not going to excessively shade the hothouse section, but it means that I'm not going to have any bugs or flies or anything while I'm in the front, and I can do all my potting up and stuff. So we put this bench here, and it's lower than the other ones. It's at a working height, so that's where I can pot up all my seedlings and things like that. I did build myself the potting table, but we put it in that shade cloth covered greenhouse, which hasn't worked very well for what we wanted it for, and it's too hard to move out. It's too big to get in and out of there easily, so for the moment it can live in there, and I can still use it in there. So we're going to seal in that back half. Again, we were supposed to have all this done before now, but we haven't. Seal in that back half, and then just shade cloth the front half, and then that way I'll have a space with a roof that has shade cloth all around it that I can use to do all my potting up and stuff, but potentially I can stand in there away from the animals and do things like this too, so we'll see how that goes. So that is done there too. What else did we need to update on? Washing machine. So we've been using the washing machine now for a few weeks, and I discussed the last time about how we were having trouble. So it doesn't have a quick wash, but it does have a 15-minute wash, but it says that the 15-minute wash is only for 1 kilo of washing. After discussion backwards and forwards with a lot of you guys in the comments, I decided to give the 15-minute wash a go on a full load. It doesn't adjust the time, so it still only goes for 15 minutes, but everything seems nice and clean, but very wet. So because it's got that short period of time, it's not wringing it out very well. It's not spinning it. But there is a spin only cycle. So there's a 15-minute wash cycle and then a 10-minute spin cycle. So what we've been doing is doing the 15-minute wash and then the 10-minute spin. Obviously the 15-minute wash isn't going to be enough for certain things. I'd want to wash towels a bit longer. I'd want to wash anything that was really grubby longer. But for everyday wear clothing, the 15 minutes seems to be fine. Everything smells good coming out. Everything seems to be nice and clean. So at the moment that's what we're doing, and it means we can get 2 loads done of a morning and hung out in the sun, which is the big thing. When it was taking 1 hour and 40, not only was the power usage and all the rest of it an issue, but we were only able to get 1 load of washing done before optimal hangout time, and that was, washing was piling up a little bit. So we're using that one. The hybrid fridge freezer I'm still really happy with. There is a lot of, it ends up with a lot of water in the bottom, a lot of condensation, so we're working on how we deal with that most efficiently and effectively, I suppose. It works fine. It's not an issue, but it is. You don't want water sitting in the bottom of the fridge. Everything is in containers and slightly above it, so nothing is sitting directly in the water, but you don't want it sitting there. So we're working out the best way to deal with that, whether we have something in there permanently that we pull out and replace, like a towel or something, but that's going to invite things growing. So whether we just need to wipe it out as a weekly thing, like, you know, how you strip beds and wash sheets every Sunday, maybe, you know, pulling things out and wiping the bottom of the fridge out on a Sunday is a thing too, which isn't a bad thing. It means the fridge gets tidied up. So we have plenty of space in it, though we're not using all the space in it. It does seem a little overkill at the moment, but I think it just depends on the season as to how much that's going to be an issue. Other than that, it's not drawing too much power and it's working really well, so that's good. What else? We're going to be putting some eggs in the incubators this week, probably. I'm going to order some eggs for some different breeds that I want. I'd like some dark brown laying eggs to add to my rainbow collection. I want to hatch some more Hamburgs out because we've only got one girl and one boy, and then we need some more of our just standard rainbow flock to go in because the rescue chickens aren't laying very well because they were rescue chickens, but they're also dying off slowly. So we are reducing our egg laying flock as they pass. There is mosquitoes. So we need to look at replacing some of them as well. So that's that. And they're all decent sized chooks too, so they're still good for meat if we have excess roosters in those as well. So we're going to start incubating eggs probably this week. I don't want to leave it too much longer because the incubators don't like running when it's too hot. The ambient temperature can cause issues with the temperature of the incubator. So we like to do them early spring, and I'd probably like to do 2 lots of hatches because I won't hatch any Wyandottes or Australorps at the moment because they're the ones that we've just removed all the excess roosters out of. So there's only a single rooster in with them now, and I want to make sure that the girls are getting serviced before I start trying to hatch their eggs. So I will be cracking them and checking for fertility before I look at putting them in the incubator. It only takes 21 days for chicken eggs, so running 2 batches. We have 2 incubators. Each incubator can hold 24 eggs. So we can do 48 eggs in one hatch. So running 2 back to back isn't too much of an issue, and it works out quite well because by the time your first hatch is out of the off heat, out of the brooders, the second ones can go in the brooders, and that first lot can go into a teenager pen, a little baby chicken pen. So that works quite well. What else? I noticed the peach tree has started to flower. We have some fruit tree fertilizer on the way and things like that, so we really need to get out there and get them cleaned up, fertilized and mulched, but we haven't done that yet. I'll bring you along when I do that and show you as it's done. It's really overgrown with grass and knaves out there at the moment. We definitely haven't looked after our fruit trees as well as we could have. They're just a little bit out of the way, but the garden has just suffered this year. We have not done what we should have with the garden this year, unfortunately, so that's all on us, but hopefully things will perk up and get better this year. What else? There's still a couple more food videos to come out, and then they'll be planning for the next shopping trip. And as I asked in the last one, I said I'd mention it here too. If anyone has anything specific they want me to do a video on, like a single video on an item, so that I can put it on the website as this is how we make what we do, like the apple cinnamon self-saucing pudding that I did and things like that, and then let me know that the orange almond cake has been requested, and I will make that this week and I will film it. I also did my flatbreads and stuff this morning because everyone asks about them all the time, so I actually made them for lunch today and filmed all them, so hopefully that will all go together as a video. What else was there? Something else asked about too. The plum barbecue sauce, I will get that up on the website. I won't be making that again for a while, but I'll find some photos and stuff for that. I have a list anyway, as people have commented, so if there's anything else that you want put on that list, let me know. It does take me it can take me 3-4 hours to get a recipe up on the website properly. Following all the SEO and all the right images and the tags and all the rest of that stuff, and it's easier to just do it right the first time than to come back and have to fix it. So it does take me like almost half a day just to get one recipe up on the website, and then if I'm making a video for it as well, then there's all the process of that as well. So it's going to be a very long ongoing process getting all these videos done for the recipes and the recipes up on the website, but hopefully it becomes a bit of a routine so that when I do more videos that I can relate to it, I can do it. And then I'm hoping that at some point I can go through a bunch of the videos and find all the references to certain things on there and then link those on the recipes as well so that you can see different times and aspects of it, but we'll see how we go. I did film myself making bread a couple of times in the new bread bakers that everyone is asking about, so hopefully I can put something together with that as well to show you. And yeah, I'm just working through what I've got in amongst all the normal day-to-day stuff. I really did lose the flow a little bit this month with the whole laryngitis thing, so hopefully nothing happens on this shopping trip. I am trying to figure out my shopping trips too, so because of Christmas, the 6 weeks isn't necessarily going to work as well, because if I went 6 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 weeks, I'd end up going like the week after Christmas, and that's not going to work real well. I sort of need to go the week or two before Christmas, so I'm still trying to figure that out. But I also need to budget in the Christmas expenses. We don't go all out. Oh, sorry, my arms are killing me. We don't go all out with gifts for Christmas, but we definitely do gifts. So I need to figure out what I'm getting and budget that in as well. And that will involve some of the trips to shopping too, because I'll have to go to, you know, like Kmart and all that to buy bits and pieces as well. Like we tend to buy fairly cheap things, mostly with an expensive gift in there. So it just depends on what they want and what they need, and so we'll assess it as we go. But I do need to plan that. And then the Christmas food shopping, which is why I like to go the week or two before Christmas, because anything special, we normally buy a box of frozen prawns around Christmas time, for example, which we don't buy prawns the rest of the year. We only buy it at Christmas time as a treat and things like that. So have to figure all that out and plan all that in, and figure out when I'm going to be going shopping as well. Just something else to add in there. The other thing I was going to say is that what we decided with the raised beds is that I've got all this gravity fed drip line. You might see it. It's all on the ground here for the potato patch, which runs off this tank here normally, but this tank is at the same height as the beds, and we can't run like the line up in the air to the beds or anything. So what we're looking at doing is getting some of those blue tubs, that the 200 litre blue tubs, and putting it at a height in between the two beds, and running the gravity fed drip tape off either side, and then I only have to fill the tubs. And I was going to buy those barrels anyway, because I was going to cut them in half and make some small wicking beds for like the space that we've got in the front of these beds. So I'm going to try and grab some of them in Brisbane. There's a guy who sells them for $25, and sometimes they come up cheaper. It just means that I'm going to have to take the trailer and sort that out. So we'll see how we go. Anyway, rambled and rambled and rambled. And I think that covers nearly everything. If I haven't covered something I said I would, just hit me up in the comments. I am still answering just about every comment, but I have been a bit slack, so forgive me for that. This month has just been a little bit all over the place. But I'm excited to have hothouse nearly done, the seeds starting on that seed shelf. I've only got 4 trays of seeds started, I think it is. Some cucumbers, because they can go out, they prefer it cold, so if you don't want them to put them out in too much of heat. So cucumbers started, tomatoes, jalapenos, and a couple of other chilies, though a lot of those seeds didn't work, so I've got some more seeds coming. Some cabbages, because again we want to get them out as soon as possible so that they have time before it gets too hot, though sometimes you hit and miss with that. And some broccoli and cauliflower as well, which again they prefer the cold weather, but I should have got them out a little bit before now and I didn't, so we will see if they manage anything. But we're going to give it a go, and then in the next week or so I will start zucchinis and some pumpkins and some melons and a couple of other varieties of tomatoes and chilies and things like that as well, to all, go for the process of being planted out. We just wanted to test that seed shelf and the heat mats and see how everything was going, and everything has germinated within its scope of time, so that works really well. I have the Raspberry Pi weather station thing that I wanted to use to check the temperature of the soil and all that sort of thing, and when we rearranged, I've moved the power supply, and now I can't find the power supply for the Raspberry Pi. They're only like $5 to buy another one, but I really hate the fact that you go and buy another one and then I'll find the old one. That's the way it always happens. So, anyway, I think I've rambled enough. So I will leave you there, and I will talk to you on the next video. Thanks for joining me again, guys.